in what is unfortunately a familiar result. Kentucky loses at home 33-27 to Tennessee in a game that I think was winnable, but also felt the whole game like it probably wasn't going to be won. We'll open up the phones here in just a minute. I went to the game, and it's the first time I've actually gone to a game. I've watched them all at my house until this one, and I went. And it was, let's start with a couple positives. It was a great atmosphere. Fans showed up. I think when you consider the last two performances that Kentucky has had, when you consider the game down at Georgia and then the Missouri game last week, fans showed up and they did their part. It was a great environment. It was rocking. At the start of the fourth quarter, when Kentucky was down 2 and forced Tennessee to punt, that period of time between the third and fourth quarter was really a cool time to be in that stadium because it was a great atmosphere, and I think there was a sense of, it was the best of kind of the Kentucky fan base. But, it is another loss to Tennessee. And so I sort of look at this on three levels. First level is this actual game. So let's start with that. Kentucky offensively played a lot better than they played, to be quite frank with you, all season. I mean, the Florida game, Ray Davis ran nonstop. But besides that, the offense has been pretty disappointing, and I actually think they played really, really well. It's clear that Devin Leary is better if you speed the tempo up a little bit and you play him out of shotgun as much as you can. That's clearly where he's the most comfortable. I thought he made great throws. He only had a couple of really bad throws, and really only one. He nearly was picked off once, what would have been a disaster. But besides that, I thought he was accurate. A couple times maybe made a bad decision, but he made good throws, and then the receivers made catches. No terrible drops tonight. I mean, everything that should have been caught was caught. So offensively, I thought it was good. I was very disappointed. And I thought Liam Cohen called a very good game. He really exploited the way Tennessee was playing. Tennessee was not able to get pressure on the quarterback for nearly all the game, and Leary had time to kind of pick them apart. The receivers played well. I thought he called a good game. I did think he had some really, really, really odd decisions 3 times on third down. On a 3rd and 1, they did a quarterback sneak that was one of the worst quarterback sneaks I've ever seen. And then on 4th and 1, went out of shotgun and didn't get it. I'm not sure what was happening there. I mean, if you're going for it 2 straight times, my view is give it to Ray Davis. And if he doesn't get it, then we didn't deserve to get it anyway. But having Leary, clearly we don't get the push up the middle to do that. We've been unsuccessful on 3rd and 1 multiple times this year. Give it to Ray Davis. And then going out of shotgun, I just didn't get that. Then I thought a key play in the game was the 3rd down where they threw it deep to a running back. No, it was 4th down, right, Billy? Is that when he threw it to the running back on the fade route? I think it was, when they decided not to go for a field goal.
You're right. I believe so.
I don't get that. I didn't get that one at all. Now, people tell me Dane was open on the other side, and maybe that's where he was supposed to go. But it's 4th and 6. I understood going for it because it was at the edge of the kicker's range. His career long is 51. That was at Georgia Southern. He's supposed to be really good from like 48 in, and this was 50. So I'm okay going for it. But if you're going to go for it, I don't understand how later you have him kick a 53-yarder. Like, you just got to decide. This dude can make it from X yards and then do it. But to not go for it from 50 and then go for it from 53 and then kick it from 53 didn't make sense. But if you're going to go for it, I don't understand a fade route to a short running back, a backup running back. I don't really get that. And then finally, the Barry on Brown pass on 3rd down. I don't get again, we're right there on the edge of field goal range. If he's 53 yards out, throw an 8-yard pass and get him into his range. So I just thought they handled that really poorly. That's the offense, but that's not the problem. The defense was awful. They scored 33. They could have scored more. We held them to, 4 field goals? I mean, we let them just kind of drive down the field with not much of a passing game most of the time. It was mostly running ball. We could not stop them running. And on that 3rd and 7 at the end, to let Joe Milton get to the outside and get that first down, you know they're going to run it. You know they're going to run it because they don't want to stop the clock. And to allow him to get outside, I just thought it was terrible, but it was emblematic. I mean, Brad White's defense has had, 3 straight weeks of just getting absolutely destroyed, 122 points in 3 weeks. And it could have been more tonight. I mean, they did hold them to field goals a few times. So that's very disappointing. So I am that was a winnable game, but because you got down early, because we came out 3 and out, couldn't get it on 3rd and 1, have to punt, they score immediately. Then drive down, go for it on 4th down. I think that was a little bit of a panic call. Don't get it. Thankfully, Kentucky, I think if you were watching the game right there, you probably thought Tennessee's going to score and we're going to get blown out. We did hold them. It was a field goal and it was a game, but we were never really able to overcome that deficit. And it was disappointing. It was a winnable game that we just didn't make the plays to win. Now, the second part of it, besides this game, is, and I know there are a lot of Tennessee fans listening because for the same reason I would have listened to Basilio if we won, because you want to, enjoy our misery. I get that. I'm not hating that. But I do hate losing to Tennessee. I mean, I'm 45 years old. We've beaten Tennessee. What? 4 times in my life? We've beaten them only 3 times in the last 40 years? I mean, it's pretty terrible. And a lot of the games have been like this. I mean, a lot of the games have been games when at the end you go, well, we could have won that, but we didn't. So the pattern of losing to Tennessee like this, especially losing at home, I mean, I think winning in Knoxville, that ain't going to happen very often in our life. But we should win these games at home. And the last 2 times at home, I think Kentucky has been right there to win and just hasn't done it. And that's frustrating. Losing to Tennessee stinks. But I think for a lot of fans, I could tell online after the game, for a lot of fans, this is like kind of a tipping point loss, which is odd to me because for me, I'm much more frustrated about 2 weeks ago, that Missouri game. This was a game Kentucky could have won, but I think played pretty well except on defense. But a lot of fans are very upset, and I can tell. And saying winner change is going to be made and blah, 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 blah. I'm frustrated that we're 5-3. I thought we should be 6-2 at this point. But I also would say to you, for most of my lifetime, Tennessee has destroyed us. We are below them right now as a program, but these games we can win. So I do think we have to have perspective. It is odd to me how quickly everybody wants to throw everything away. We're 5-3. Now, there's a world in which we don't make a bowl, and if we go 5-7, it's a disaster. But there's also a world they can win 3 of these last 4 and go 8-4, which, by the way, would be the 3rd best record in my lifetime. Now, you'd have to win them all on the road. But we're better than Mississippi State and South Carolina. I don't know if we're better than Louisville, but we're better than Mississippi State and South Carolina. We can win those. I'm not saying we will. We could lose them all. But we have a shot. I was worried we were going to come out today and get destroyed. And that didn't happen. So I'm not ready to just give up on this group. But it seems to me that a lot of fans are. And I think it's only fair that we give you a chance. And we'll open up the phones, 859-280-2287, to give a call. But I would say this about Mark Stoops as a coach. And I respect this, but I've always kind of disagreed with it. He has set the expectations of the kind of why not us, right? Like you can win an SEC championship here. And I'll be honest, I don't think you can. In like 1 year, if things go crazy right, maybe. But I think there are systematic limitations here that are going to make it almost impossible to ever win at an SEC level. I have said my entire life I didn't think Kentucky could win 7 and 8 games consistently in my life. Mark has done that, and to some extent Rich Brooks did that too. I am one of these people who says if you win 7 or 8, I don't think that's terrible. Now, if you win 5, that's different. But if you win 7 or 8, I don't think that's terrible. But it is it. I think Mark has done this. It's a victim of his own success. He has set this expectation where people sort of think this program should go out and blow Tennessee out, or should go beat Tennessee and Missouri every single year, beat South Carolina every year, beat Mississippi State every year. We've just never been that in our history, at least since the 70s. And so I'm disappointed in this loss. I hate losing consistently to Tennessee. But I always say this, and I think it's important to remember. When you're evaluating Kentucky football, this staff, whatever, remember, we have been better than 7 and 5 at Kentucky since 1978. We've been better than 7 and 5 twice. We've had a winning record in the SEC twice. So I do think that's worth putting in. And both of those times have been in the last 5 years. So I do think there's at least perspective that needs to be remembered. With that said, I'll drop that because losing to Tennessee stinks. We could have won that game. There were bad decisions, and Brad White's defense has been a disaster for 3 straight weeks. And there's no reason not to be frustrated about all of that.